Tonight, war in the Middle East. Iran's supreme leader killed in US and Israeli attacks as Donald Trump calls on Iranians to take their country back. Fears the conflict is entering a dangerous new phase as Iran strikes back across the Middle East. And airspace closures plunge the region into chaos, leaving travellers stranded around the world. Good evening, Charlotte Hamlyn with ABC News. New details emerge about the 20-year-old charged with planning a mass casualty terror attack in WA.
And in sport, the Matildas get their Asian Cup campaign underway at Perth Stadium.
Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been killed in a major coordinated attack by US and Israeli forces. The strikes in Tehran have been met with a fierce retaliation from the regime as it vowed severe punishment, launching missiles and drones at countries across the Middle East. US President Donald Trump says the military action gives Iranians the greatest chance to take back their country. Australia has thrown its support behind the US action, which has been condemned by the United Nations and plunged the region into chaos, including disruptions at airports across the world. People have taken to the streets of Tehran in celebration, but there's also concern about what comes next. Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran begins our coverage from Tel Aviv.
A catastrophic escalation. For hours, missiles crisscross Middle Eastern skies. In Iran, people celebrated near the Ayatollah's destroyed compound, dancing and singing as news spread of the 86-year-old dictator's death from Israeli and US bombs.
It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
The announcement of his death on state TV, drawing dramatic emotions. The Israeli-US joint strikes began in broad daylight, hitting multiple Iranian cities, including the capital. US President Donald Trump quickly taking a war footing.
For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
Iranian state media says more than 100 were killed when a missile hit an all-girls school in the country's south.
As a result of this brutal armed attack, hundreds of civilians have been killed and injured.
Then Iran hit back with wave after wave of retaliatory strikes.
Wow.
Firing more than 150 missiles and drones aimed at Israel and US bases around the region. As warning sirens blared, Israelis ran for cover. A missile slipped through the Iron Dome, hitting a residential building in Tel Aviv. Elsewhere, another hit a luxury hotel in Dubai, tourists fleeing in panic. Missiles were also fired towards Qatar, with explosions seen in Bahrain, where the US Navy's 5th Fleet is stationed. An emergency meeting of the UN Security Council has been held, with the Secretary-General saying the US, Israel and Iran have broken international law. But Australia has thrown its support behind the Israeli and US action, while making it clear it played no direct role.
Australia supports action to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent Iran from continuing to threaten international peace and security. Obviously, Australia did not participate in these strikes.
It is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US.
Israel says it hit hundreds of military targets and warned there are more strikes on the way.
This morning we eliminated senior officials in the Ayatollah's regime, Revolutionary Guards commanders, senior figures in the nuclear program, and we will continue. In the next few days we will hit thousands more targets of the terror regime.
Among those killed, Mohammad Pakpour, head of the Revolutionary Guard, Defence Minister Aziz Nasrizadeh and Ali Shamkhani, a top military advisor. A number of senior figures could step up into the power vacuum, including Ali Larijani, head of the country's National Security Council, as well as cleric Hassan Khomeini and Chief Justice Ghulam Hossein Mohseni. The Iranian cabinet has warned this great crime will not go unanswered. For 37 years, Ali Khamenei reigned Iran with an iron fist. When the country was at its most powerful, he oversaw its nuclear program and spread Iran's power through its network of proxies, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas in Gaza, who were behind the October 7 attack on Israel. But Khamenei also presided over Iran's rapid decline. Successive popular protests in recent years have been met with brutal, deadly crackdowns as he fought to remain in control. But that uprising demonstrated cracks in the regime. Donald Trump now saying this is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. The exiled Crown Prince joining those calls.
The final victory will still be forged by our hands. It is we, the people of Iran, who will finish the job in this final battle. The time to return to the streets is near.
Matthew Doran joins us from Tel Aviv. Matt, what's the latest there?
Charlotte, we have just had another round of Iranian missiles being fired towards Israel, which has sent warning sirens echoing across the country. They have just stopped and people are leaving their shelters. We are actually near a site which was hit by an Iranian missile last night, killing one woman and injuring dozens of others. But even though that building in that direction, where we were standing before those sirens went off, has been extensively damaged, you can also see how the blast, the shock wave, has hit a number of other buildings. This is about 400 metres away from that, and you can see all of the windows in the lobby of this apartment building have been totally blown out, and that is the case for a number of buildings around here. Scaffolding being brought in to shore up some of those buildings against the risk that they may collapse. Iran has warned that the weaponry it's been using to this point has not been its most advanced, and that is why there are grave fears that this will continue for a very long time to come. Charlotte.
Matt Doran in Tel Aviv. Nearly 30 planes and hundreds of travellers were left stranded in Australia when the airspace over much of the Middle East was suddenly closed. The federal government has issued fresh travel warnings for much of the region and urged Australians to leave if they can.
Waving their flags with pride and pure joy, Iranian Australians celebrate the death of a dictator. Outside the Iranian embassy, euphoria fills the suburban street.
It's the greatest news. Thank you very much, Mr. Trump. Thank you very much, Prime Minister Netanyahu.
This is not the war. This is the rescue mission.
Waiting to hear from friends and family in Iran, those who fled dare to dream of what comes next.
We are so excited. Words cannot describe the feeling of the people of Iran. And I cannot wait to enter a free Iran.
She'll have to wait a little longer. Amid the celebrations, travel chaos. As missiles rained down, major Middle Eastern airports closed down. Some travellers made it out blissfully unaware.
We've literally come off the plane, so I have no news, I've no updates. What has gone on in Iran?
Qatar Airways flights from Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne and Perth barely made it out of Australian airspace before they were forced to turn back. Planes and travellers stranded in Australia, counting the cost of connections lost.
I spent over $4,000 on this flight. It's my mother's 90th birthday in 3 days' time. I'm not going to be there now.
Well, I was told last night I get no recompense at all because it's war.
In Sydney,
it's been absolutely chaos.
Hundreds were forced to sleep in the terminal, with hotels across the city booked out for Mardi Gras.
Fortunately, the blow-up mattress made it a bit more comfortable compared to some other people.
Australian officials are closely monitoring what is an evolving situation.
The Prime Minister convening a meeting of the National Security Committee. Its immediate focus, Australians in the region. Slapping do not travel warnings on multiple countries surrounding Iran and urging anyone there to leave if they can.
Our ability to provide consular assistance in Iran is extremely limited.
The government closed the Tehran embassy last year and expelled Iran's ambassador, revealing the regime was responsible for at least 2 attacks on Australian soil.
I think no one would mourn the passing of Ayatollah Khamenei.
I shed no tears over the death of the Ayatollah.
This is an illegal attack by Israel and the United States.
While clearly supporting the US, the Albanese government is choosing its words carefully, sidestepping questions about whether this attack was legal or justified. For now, it's putting in place plans for possible repatriations and preparing for significant aftershocks.
Unfortunately, we will likely see a spike in oil prices globally. Probably anywhere between 5 and 10%.
Amid the uncertainty, one thing's clear. These Iranians are ready to seize their destiny. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
The ABC has spoken to Iranians on the ground. Like people around the world, many are celebrating the death of Iran's leader, but there's also trepidation more blood could be shed.
Despite a widespread internet blackout, scenes of celebration are still getting out of Iran.
الان همه با رفیقامون اینا نشستیم داریم به سلامتی کشته شدن خامنه‌ای جشن میگیریم.
But amongst the jubilation for some, there's also fear about what the regime could do next.
There would be physical tortures.
Melbourne woman Nikujali Van Fard has spoken with her mother, who's locked up in Iran's notorious Evin prison, and has shared the audio with the ABC. She says the 50-year-old's been in jail for 3 years, wrongly accused of being a spy for Israel.
She was thinking, if anything happens to me, I'm just leaving you to the God. And it was very hard to hear all that conversation and not be able to even hug her.
So you fear they're going to execute her?
That was one of our biggest fears that we had.
But amid the uncertainty among the diaspora, there's also joy.
End of Khamenei, end of sugar daddy to Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis.
We are so excited. All of Iranians, we are waiting 47 years for today.
In Sydney, they were dancing in Hyde Park, hopeful that regime change could be imminent.
I hope we will have a free Iran, and then we will have a democratic Iran and a free Iran.
A hope that many Iranians around the world share. Nassim Khadem, ABC News.
Donald Trump campaigned on a promise of ending foreign wars, but the president argues Iran had the opportunity to strike a deal before the US unleashed what it's calling Operation Epic Fury.
An extraordinary operation overseen from Donald Trump's Florida home, the president remaining at Mar-a-Lago as Americans absorbed the news of his latest intervention.
We didn't learn from the Iraq War. We need a regime change here.
The US had been negotiating with Iran over its nuclear program up until a few days ago. Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth saying the Iranian regime had their chance yet refused to make a deal, and now they are suffering the consequences.
We are witnessing a grave threat to international peace and security. Military action carries the risk of igniting a chain of events that no one can control in the most volatile region of the world.
This is an incredibly risky move for a president who pledged to stop wars, not start them. With no clear idea yet of how long this conflict is going to run and the possibility of US lives being lost, Donald Trump is under pressure to justify his actions to the American people.
A short time ago,
Democrats and some Republicans on Capitol Hill argue the president needed congressional approval before launching the strikes.
President Trump has initiated a completely unnecessary, in my view, really idiotic and illegal war against Iran.
From Iranian Americans, though, expressions of gratitude.
I just want to say thank you, Donald Trump. You're a man of your word.
A sense of hope that Donald Trump's gamble will pay off. Rachel Clayton, ABC News, Washington.
At least 9 people have been killed in clashes with police in Pakistan during protests over the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in Iran, according to local authorities. Hundreds of people stormed the US consulate in the city of Karachi, with protesters breaching the outer wall of the building. Police fired tear gas to scatter them, pushing them back from the consulate. Large rallies have also broken out in other parts of the country. With the death of Iran's supreme leader, the question turns to what happens next. Iran's government has already announced an interim leadership, but as America's editor John Lyons explains, there is no guarantee that will hold.
The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has been the Praetorian Guard for the regime in Tehran. With the killing of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei in the US-Israeli attacks, the IRGC now becomes the most powerful institution in the country. They will not only be running the country, but they'll now be running this war as well. The key thing to watch now will be whether there are defections from inside the IRGC. If there are major defections, then this regime may fall. If the IRGC stays united, the regime will be weakened but not defeated. The Supreme Leader and the old men of this theocracy are not popular inside Iran. The days ahead will be dangerous and unpredictable. The IRGC has used its brutal machinery to smash previous uprisings. This is now a dramatic battle between younger Iranians and the Revolutionary Guard.
In other news, new details have emerged about the 20-year-old man charged with planning a mass casualty terror attack in WA, allegedly motivated by white supremacist ideology. The ABC has confirmed the identity of Jason Joseph Michaels, a former Christian school student and one-time labourer.
Described as a once quiet kid,
Jason Robert Belly.
Now a suspect in an alleged terror plot. Police allege Jason Joseph Michaels was planning a mass casualty attack at mosques, Parliament and the WA Police headquarters in Perth. They allege white supremacist ideology was his motivation.
The events of Friday will be very, very unsettling for West Australians, for all West Australians, and of course they come on the back of the atrocity at Bondi and the terrible event in Forest Place on January the 26th.
Mr Michaels attended St Stephen's School in Carramar before dropping out in 2021 to go to TAFE. In a statement to the ABC, the school said that white supremacist ideology and hate speech had no place in our society. The 20-year-old also briefly worked at a Bindoon gravel supply business last year. A former employer described Mr Michaels as quiet and introverted. He told the ABC he was shocked to learn about the terror charges. Police confirmed they had been monitoring Mr Michaels since January, specifically investigating his online activities on the encrypted messaging app Telegram. They then raided his home in Bindoon, where Mr Michaels lived with his parents, and where police allegedly found a manifesto-style document, along with a range of weapons and guns. Detectives are continuing to investigate an encrypted online group, which they allege Mr Michaels was involved with. Darina Zadvirna, ABC News.
The Matildas have begun their Asian Cup campaign in Perth with a 1-0 win against the Philippines. Tom Wildey joins us from Perth Stadium. Tom, how did the Matildas perform?
Well, Charlotte, they got the job done. As you said, a 1-0 win over the Philippines, but I don't think Joe Montemuro, the coach, will be overly pleased with the performance. Sam Kerr was the only one to hit the score sheet, scoring on her return to Perth, the hometown hero. But the Matildas otherwise only generated 6 shots on target despite having 85% possession and having 16 total shots on target. They just lacked a clinical edge, and you have to think that against a better opposition, they won't be as forgiven as if they were against the Philippines tonight.
Tom, you've got a big crowd to compete with, but we know that Matildas mania gripped the country 2 years ago for the World Cup. It appears they've recaptured the magic for their fans.
As you can see, there's plenty of fans here. They came to the Matildas. They won't be back probably during this Asian Cup, unless, of course, they don't win the top of their group. So
We'll leave you to it, Tom. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Sydney's streets were awash with colour, lights and glitter for the 2026 Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras parade. Despite tight security, mass crowds turned out to watch 10,000 people march in a celebration of love and pride.
Glitter, glam and drama. Sydney's 2026 Mardi Gras parade was a stream of colourful characters shimmying down Oxford Street. This year's theme, Ecstatica, a mix of pride, passion and euphoric rebellion.
To be free to be yourself.
From the big personalities to the small ones, and from local heroes to groups against far-right ideology.
They are the antithesis of everything that is joyful, inclusive.
There were plenty of queer figures on the nearly 170 different floats.
Just a sense of freedom and celebration and happiness.
The pro-Palestine Pride and Protest group were banned over controversial social media posts targeting Jewish queer float Day Anew.
We just want to have peace and we just want to march together and support our communities.
Security was bolstered with extra police on patrol. Only 4 people were arrested for breaching the peace, but it didn't dampen the mood for thousands of spectators.
The parade was amazing. Everyone's so happy.
A special dance tribute was made to the late drag performer Maxie Shield.
She was just a legend of the Sydney drag scene. She was beloved by so many.
This year's famous after party has been cancelled, but it won't stop revellers partying until the early hours.
Celebrations left a trail of glitter behind. By the morning, the clean-up was underway after a night dedicated to love and respect. Victoria Pingilly, ABC News, Sydney.
A Victorian wildlife carer has teamed up with an unlikely profession to help the turtles in the Gippsland region recover from traumatic shell injuries. It involves repairing the shells with the resin that dentists use to repair teeth. And if the early results are anything to go by, he's on to a winner.
Giselle, we've got friends here. Be good.
Josh Neal has made a name for himself as a wildlife carer in Gippsland.
Hey, you behave, won't you? We've got visitors.
But when it came to the region's turtles, he was presented with a unique problem.
It's really hard to care for a lot of these turtles. It's hard to find specialised carers to take them on.
He's rescued several turtles that were hit by cars.
Daily clean. Turtle showers.
But when it came to fixing their shattered shells, he needed to think outside the square, and that's where dentist Yana Stevens came to the rescue.
And I was very keen to help. He knows my passion for the animals and he has helped me to rescue some other animals before.
Mr. Neal had the idea of using dental resin, the same material dentists use for fillings, to patch up cracks and rebuild the turtle's protective armour.
If it's safe for humans, it's definitely safe for turtles to use. So we had to write down step by step how to use the materials.
Well, we've got to keep cleaning this turtle up, all right?
After careful observation and cleaning, layers of primer, resin and glue are applied and hardened with a UV light, sealing the cracks and providing long-lasting protection.
I'm just a panel beater for turtles at the moment.
With careful repairs and a lot of patience, these turtles are getting another shot at life. A small reminder of just how resilient Gippsland's wildlife can be. The operation has been a success. And just days later, the turtle is returned to the wild with a freshly repaired shell, much to the delight of Dr. Stevens.
I already had mentioned to him, just let me know if one of the animals will need dentures or something. We'll have to design something too.
Giving Gippsland's turtles something to smile about. Jack Colantuano, ABC News, Tinamba.
In sport, the Townsville Fire have won the WNBL Championship after a thrilling 108 points to 105 overtime win against the Perth Lynx. Perth started strongly in front of a sellout home crowd and led by 6 points at the end of the first quarter. The lead changed hands throughout the final term and the visitors drew level in the dying seconds to force an extra period. Townsville edged ahead in overtime and held on to win the grand final series 2-0 and claim the championship for the 5th time. West Coast has shown few signs 2026 will see big improvement. Thrashed 140 to 67 by Port Adelaide at Lathlane Park in their final pre-season match. To make matters worse, defenders Harry Edwards suffered a concussion, adding to an already lengthy injury list. A blistering century from Alyssa Healy spearheaded Australia's victory against India in the third Women's One-Day International, Australia winning by 185 runs after setting India a record target of 410. The retiring skipper blasted 158 off 98 deliveries in her final white ball game for her country. She was given a guard of honour after being sent in to bat in Hobart and put on a clinic, smashing 29 boundaries. But she could only laugh at this dismissal. What a way to get out, missing a full toss. India got off to a flyer, but were all out for 224 after 45 overs. Finally, some not so light relief, but something that could raise a smile, and that is Bruce the Bull from Albany. While the rest of the world is on edge, for Bruce it's been just another day in paradise, the gentle giant doing what he does most days, taking a dip with locals on the south coast.
Right, Brucey, do you want to come for a spin in the truck? We'll go down the beach.
Tom Kennedy is gearing up for a day out with his rather unusual pet.
Spin your bum round.
Bruce the Brahmin.
That's it. Let's go.
Some would call him a local celebrity.
His temperament's nice. We're just having fun. He's loves going to the beach and socialising. So we thought we'll bring him down. Since he's been a little fella, he used to come down with the horses a lot.
Bruce was given a second chance when he was just 8 months old.
He had no purpose at the old stud that he was at. He was left to grow up there, and they were going to just send him off to the abattoir when he was big enough.
Tom maintains the Brahmin breed is misunderstood.
They're not all mean and nasty. If you bring them up right, they're actually very friendly and very inquisitive, very intelligent.
Despite the fact that Brucey weighs 2 T-bones short of 2 tonnes, it doesn't put beachgoers off from coming up and giving him a big old pat.
I've always wanted to come and see him, but I haven't been able to. It's my dream to meet him, yeah.
He's a celebrity around here. Yeah, he certainly is. He likes to swim, he likes people, you know.
All that time at the beach is thirsty work. Next stop, the bar.
You might as well serve him.
And to finish off, a round of pool.
Probably great, given the way life is nowadays. People need just something simple and real to smile at.
Not your average day at the beach. Kate Forrester, ABC News, Albany.
That's living. To the weather now, and Perth's minimum was 11.8 degrees at 20 past 6 this morning, followed by a top of 26.3, around 20 to 2 this afternoon. Right now in the city it's 20 degrees. Rocky Gully South and Wandering dropped to a cool 5 degrees overnight, while Marble Bar, Paraburdoo and Learmonth all hit a top of 42 today. Storms have continued over the Kimberley, and cloud is also forming over the inland Pilbara in a heat trough. Low cloud in the far south is clearing. A ridge of high pressure extends over southern and central parts of the state. A west coast trough will redevelop from tomorrow, and a broad trough of low pressure will shift north into the Kimberley. Around the country tomorrow, partly cloudy in Sydney, a possible shower for Brisbane, rain for Melbourne, Canberra and Hobart, cloudy in Adelaide and showers forecast for Darwin. Back to WA, showers and thunderstorms over the Kimberley with localised heavy falls possible in eastern and northern parts. Those storms extending into the north interior and possibly the Pilbara, which will have a windy morning along with the Gascoyne and the interior. Staying hot through central parts with a severe heatwave warning in place for the Gascoyne. Possible morning fog southwest of Busselton to Albany, but a fine day across the south of the state. Sunny in Perth, a top of 29 after an overnight low of 15 degrees. Sunrise will be at 7 minutes past 6, setting at 6:52. And we've got a sunny week ahead. 33 the top on Tuesday, 34 Wednesday, 35 Thursday, and at this stage it's peaking on Friday with a top of 37. Recapping tonight's lead story, Iran's supreme leader has been killed in a joint US-Israeli military operation, stoking fears of a broader conflict. We'll leave you tonight with the reaction of Iran's expat community who've gathered on the South Perth foreshore to mark this historic occasion. Thanks for your company. Good night.